Coming to you live from the KDWN studios on South Durango, it's Live Las Vegas, hosted by the voice of the Las Vegas Wranglers, Dave Carney, and R&B recording artist Al B. Shore. Want to talk to Dave and Al? Call in at 257-5396. That's 257-5396. It's live, it's local, it's Las Vegas. Here are your hosts, Dave and Al.
All right, Las Vegas, welcome to Live Las Vegas. I'm Dave Carney, holding down the fort all by myself today. Al B. Shore off on a whirlwind adventure, as is the life of Al B. Shore. And we're going to have a great big show for you today. Now, if you have been listening to Boomer's Brain Trust here on News Talk 720 KDWN, thank you so much for staying with us here on Live Las Vegas. And guys, we're going to be talking about some of the things that they just got finished talking about on Boomer's Brain Trust. Again, the phone number to reach us here live in studio today, where you can voice your opinion, tell me I'm crazy, tell me I'm right, 257-5396. That's 257-KDWN. Now, we're going to start off right where Boomer and company left off, and that's talking about Dick Cheney's strong opposition here on the Sean Hannity show the other evening to Barack Obama's proposed 8% cuts to the military defense budget spending. Now, this is a big deal because what we're seeing in America now is we're seeing the realization come from both sides of the aisle here. Okay, Republicans and Democrats, both sides are agreeing that something has to be done to cure our ills. And when I mean our ills, the fact that we're in complete debt to the Federal Reserve, and they know this, and as the debt continues to grow, the money has got to come from somewhere. So Dick Cheney has got an issue with the proposed 8% budget cuts to the defense spending Barack Obama's outlining. Now, the interesting thing here, guys, and this is what I want to lay out right away, is that all of the politicians that are in Congress, in the House of Representatives, that are up there on Capitol Hill at the White House, all of them play for the same team. This is not a, blue team, red team, Broncos, Seahawks, okay, Dodgers, Angels. This is the same group of people. They all have the same bosses. Now, Boomer did hit on that. They're all corporate guys, okay? Now, that even includes the military, because the Pentagon is not excluded from having corporate overlords. As a matter of fact, Citizens United, which was passed through, about 2.5, 3 years ago by the Supreme Court, allows corporations to donate unlimited amounts of money to campaigns, and those can also finance the campaigns of folks running for defense jobs as well. Now, the 8% budget cuts that Barack Obama was outlining seems egregious to Dick Cheney. He's got an amazing problem with this. He says, well, I've never been a big fan of Barack Obama's, obviously. However, this 8% military budget cut is just too much. It's gonna really put us in a weak and vulnerable position. Well, as many of you may know, especially folks that listen here on KDWN, smart political listeners, many of you know that Dick Cheney was the Secretary of Defense, actually served 2 terms as Secretary of Defense under George Bush and under his predecessor, Ronald Reagan. Now, in 1991, Dick Cheney, as sitting at the head of the National Defense Committee, sat in front of Congress and outlined his own set of budget cuts for the military. Dick Cheney's sets of budget cuts for the military were going to equal somewhere around 25%. So this man will sit and tell you when he is the Secretary of the Defense, and the budget is a concern for him, that this budget needs to be dealt with aggressively, and needs to be dealt with right away. Now, in 1991, Dick wasn't messing around. He was talking about cutting multiple branches from the armed forces, 2 divisions from the Army, and more branches outside of that. However, in 2014, fast forward, different time, obviously, Your interests in Halliburton have greatly increased. Your interests around the world have greatly increased. Now an 8% budget cut to military spending seems like the worst thing that could have ever happened in the entire history of the United States. Well, let me ask you guys, and again, the phone number to reach us here in Live Las Vegas, 257-5396. Let me ask you guys, is Dick Cheney playing absolute politics, or is Dick Cheney talking about something a little bit deeper, something that we need to all recognize a little bit more? And that's the fact that our military has been co-opted by big business. Now, Dick Cheney's a big businessman. So for him, imperial conquest in Afghanistan and Iraq, let's take it on. We'll call it the 100 Years' War Part 2, because we've got no plan to get out of these places. Is he just being a corporate puppet? And again, the number 257-5396. I want to hear your thoughts. Now, joining me in studio, they've come in here, piling in one by one. Al B. Shore What's going on, buddy?
Young man,
How are you? How are you? It's great to see you. I wasn't sure if you were coming in today, so we just started rolling, and obviously you heard the top of the conversation here. We're discussing a lot of Dick Cheney's comments from the Sean Hannity show the other night, and Barack Obama's plan to obviously reduce deficit. What do you think, Al? I mean, you're a politically astute individual. You get a chance to travel all over the country. Do you hear different things in New York than you hear in L.A., Ohio, and Oklahoma City, as opposed to Las Vegas? What is your feeling about this and how the country feels?
Well, I had an opportunity to view some of it actually on the plane, and I caught the tail end of it. So I'm not that well versed in terms of what was presented, but I do know that with power comes a great amount of responsibility.
Ah, yes.
And but also with power becomes a great amount of power. Now, there's an old boys club that exists that does not go away no matter what we say. I mean, obviously we are the laymen of the earth, of the planet, where, we're these hardworking individuals. We have our own versions of 9 to 5s, what you call our own self-employment. Obviously, we run our own businesses. But then there's another level of control, the control factor. Obviously, we've opted for a capitalistic society, but there's some other situations going on here, which is really interesting. Who gave me some insight? David Bowie actually gave me some insight just in terms of what we are actually dealing with here, and it's been consistent since then. And I just watched the clip just recently again on YouTube. It's myself and David Bowie on Arsenio Hall, and he started talking about the freedom of speech and just how. What's the difference between the creative side and what government represents and the power of both of them and where they can both stretch to? So, I'm really interested in seeing how this all unfolds.
Well, it's, obviously nowadays with 24-hour news cycles, the internet being available, which it wasn't 20 years ago in the way that it is now.
Before Al Gore invented it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Before Al Gore invented the internet. Now, listen, if he would have just phrased that a little bit differently and said I had a big part to play, I would have let him pass on that inventing the internet.
At least I financed it.
Yeah, thank you. Something. Come up with a better line, make it seem like I didn't invent the sky and the moon. Oh, wait, that's already been written. That book is a popular bestseller last 2,000 years.
And the spring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Come on, the moon.
Well, I was going to say, now, Al, if you're just joining us again here on Live Las Vegas, Al, be sure popping into studio. Great to have you back here in town, my friend.
It is so good to be here.
Much better than over the phone.
Absolutely. You know what? But it's been a blessing, like I told you, and I will always say, even off air, I am elated that the phone is still ringing 30 years later. So when I'm in Oklahoma or New York or doing a national anthem for, NBA or NFL or what have you, or Major League Baseball, it's an amazing feat, and I'm grateful and completely humbled by the fact that they're still calling.
Absolutely.
Hear that falsetto.
Listen, I tell you what, though, you look fantastic in some of this OKC swag. Now, I'm sure that they hooked you up. They're like, we're going to take you back to the team shop. You come on back with some new stuff. And now you've brought a very special guest with you here today, too. I'm going to let you make the introductions to our listeners.
Wow. Well, first of all, we call each other. This is now the other brother that you haven't met, Michael. This gentleman is responsible for penning just a few songs you may have heard of before, like, My Prerogative and some Mary J. Blige stuff.
It was my prerogative to listen to that song over and over and over and over again.
And he built a house in New York over it.
There you go. We just call him Big Sexy, a.k.a. Big Bub from the group Today.
Wow.
Good to see you, brother.
Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Man, thank you for having me.
Well, it's I was watching Al's Facebook page over the last couple of weeks, and obviously I saw a photo of you guys back there in OKC together. Al was doing the national anthem, and
coached by the super vocals. We call them Superman vocals, Big Bub. Right before I tell you, I was just slightly nervous because prior to that, when you go out on the stage, you hear cheers, you run out on the stage, and the music is pumping and the adrenaline's going. Doing the national anthem is completely the opposite. You walk out, it's crickets.
And you better not, like you said, start off wrong, because you start off wrong, you hit that note incorrectly,
man.
And it all goes downhill. Now, as the announcer for the Wranglers hockey team, I have the fortunate or unfortunate pleasure of seeing the national anthem, depending on who's singing it, over 40 sometimes a year. And
have you done it yet?
Not live in front of them. I'm sitting down doing a different thing.
You kind of do a shower thing.
Yeah, just I'll do it before
Practice
they get there.
home.
No, I'll do it before they get there because they've got the good mics. But you get the idea sitting down and watching so many different performers do it. Exactly how difficult that song is. Now, the range that involves in that song, and again, you're listening to Live Las Vegas. We started talking Dick Cheney, now we're talking music, but the range in that song, guys, as a singer, has got to be incredibly, I guess, an incredible challenge. When you look at that song, it's a challenge piece. You have to prepare yourself for that. Get your wind right, I would imagine.
Absolutely, but it's also, I consider
the right key.
Right, but also you have to start in the right key, because
key
unless,
for you,
unless you're Mariah Carey, you could just sing a parking ticket, so
Sure,
it doesn't matter.
absolutely.
But the most significant part about it is what I did learn about doing the national anthem. It's like Broadway. It's just one take.
That's it.
It's live. It's it. There's no, soap opera or some TV show where you can take 10 takes and try to figure it out. It just doesn't work that way.
No, but you know what they do? If you mess it up, they put it on about 1,000 times.
Oh, absolutely.
Later on throughout the night. Because
It's like
that's
a sample.
That's
Repeat,
it. Yeah, you get one chance to do it, and we're going to make fun of you 100 times. All right, guys, that is the sound, meaning we're going to have to take our first look at traffic here on Live Las Vegas. When we come back, much more with our huge celebrity panel here on Live Las Vegas. Stay tuned to News Talk 720 KDWN.
And 116, this report brought to you by Subway. Hurry into Subway to enjoy February's featured values, like the Meatball Marinara as the featured $5 footlong, topped with melty mozzarella and oven-roasted chicken as the $3 select 6-inch sub. February's featured values, get them while you can. Subway, eat fresh. Surprisingly, the freeways are moving along right now. No current incidents. Plenty of fender benders, though, on the surface streets. Lake Mead at Rampart, Frank Sinatra at Industrial, Boulder Highway at Lamb. Also entry incidents, Jones at Tropicana and Flamingo at Swenson. For the Kid on Monday Better Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
You hear a lot of talk about gold these days. What, with the stock market and more upheaval than tumbleweeds in a tornado? The world-famous Max Pawn is your gold spot in Las Vegas. Don't just send your gold into some random TV guy for pennies on the dollars. Go where you can see what your gold is really worth and get guaranteed market rate for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Come visit the world-famous Max Pawn in Las Vegas at the northeast corner of Sahara and Jones or online at maxpawnlv.com.
We now know that Nevada's Obamacare exchange is not what we were promised. In fact, it has no real benefit or advantage over the disastrous federal Obamacare exchange and provides fewer options at far higher costs. Not only is our state exchange not working, but it is failing financially, and it will never get better. By any account, Nevada's Obamacare exchange is a failure, and we must make it unconstitutional. Don't believe the false hype. Get the real story at undoobamacare.com and find out how you can become part of the solution.
If you like the coverage you have, you can keep it.
It's time for some truth. Nevada's Obamacare exchange has brought the highest increase in premiums in the country, yet it has only a third of the healthcare choices offered by the federal exchange. It's no surprise that enrollment in Nevada's exchange is a fraction of what was projected and needed. No wonder Harry Reid doesn't want his own staff on Nevada's exchange. By any account, Nevada's Obamacare exchange is a failure, and we must make it unconstitutional. Get the real story at undoobamacare.com and find out how you can become part of the solution.
Paid for by Our Voice Nevada PAC, not affiliated.
Now back to Live Las Vegas with Dave Carney and Al B. Shore on News Talk 720 KDWN.
All right, welcome back to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN. I am Dave Carney, joined by Al B. Shore, multi-platinum recording artist, superstar, the man, the myth, the legend. And also joined in studio. Now, again, give me your given name, sir. So folks out here, we're Googling you. How do we find you on Google? What's the easiest way?
Oh, Big Bub.
Big Bub. Just
BIGBUB.
Just Google Big Bub.
Today.
Yeah,
you can hit me on Instagram.
Right.
Big Bub Today. Twitter. Big Bub Today.
Facebook probably is another great way to get you guys, all hooked up. And we're doing that here as well. I am at Dapper Dave C on Twitter, and you can always get me on Facebook at Dave J. Carney. But coming back to the show, guys, we started off the program talking about some news making its way around the country. Dick Cheney obviously taking some really harsh exception here to the proposed military cuts Barack Obama and his office have outlined. Now, the military cuts that Dick Cheney had outlined back when he was Secretary of Defense in 1991 didn't look anything like what we're talking about now. The Obama plan is looking at somewhere around 8%. Dick Cheney's cuts were looking at about somewhere around 25%. And it's really interesting when you watch the footage of Dick Cheney in that 1991 Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting and sitting in front of Congress. he was very defiant. We've got to save money. How else are we supposed to do it? Are you going to come up with a plan to save it? Well, I am. I'm going to cut the military. So if it's good for the goose, is it good for the gander? Or, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, are we missing the most critical piece of this puzzle? And the fact that, talk about military might as much as you want, talk about, America around the world as much as you want. This is a corporate grab from a corporate man. This guy owns and has a lot of stake in the apparatuses that go along with a military endeavor. Now, if you take away some of those military endeavors, it stands to reason that this businessman, not a patriot, mind you, but this businessman stands to lose a great deal of money. And I want to know your thoughts on that. So Dick Cheney supporter, Dick Cheney defender. I want to hear both. 257-5396, 257 KDWN. If you're a Dick Cheney supporter, tell me why I'm wrong. And if you are a Dick Cheney, if you're a Dick Cheney defender, tell me why I'm wrong. If you're a supporter of my views and, the fact that we know that big business basically controls this mechanism, I want to hear that as well. 257-5396. Now, back on the program here, we've got superstars, Al B. Sure, Big Bub with us. You guys obviously know a lot about the country in general because of the fact that you've traveled so much. You deal with so many different people. Now, Big Bub, let me ask you, as somebody who has obviously, grown up in a much different time than it is right now, you've seen a lot of things change. The more things change, do they stay the same? The more, like the old song goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Are we really going in a cycle as opposed to a new direction, in your opinion?
It's all over the place right now. I can't really say that we're going in a cycle, but it's more up front now. Everything is more in the face now.
That's true.
And it's more hands-on right now. But it's all over the place right now. It's just that you can see it and you can touch it a little bit.
A little bit more than you could. We talked about this. News everywhere. Yeah. We're on a news talk radio station. These things weren't really as popular 20 years ago. And now, obviously, you growing up in New York, you're living out here on the left coast now. Your son lives in Los Angeles, and you get to travel. You get to see. Do you think that the more things change, the more they stay the same? Or are you kind of with Big Bub, that's just more in front of you, in your face now?
Well, I look at it as, for the most part, I think that we are in a society that, well, even on the music side of things, it's almost like a 10-year rotation. Okay. So most things, whether it's politically or in regards to different industries and different sectors, it's almost like a rotation. Like in the music industry, I'll make a comparison. We go from the technology side of things back to live music. Now we're in this gender bend of kind of rotating back into the live instruments.
That's right.
Via what radio is accepting, and then what happens is when the new generation comes in, so new technology, then you have a lot of electronic dance stuff and what have you that comes into place. It becomes dominant. It overrides what that musicality is all about. And then you have some people who stay angry as opposed to adapt that. And what I would tell everyone is, I don't care what you do or who you are. If you're Stevie Wonder or you're Chucky, the guy who the big house guy, or Frankie Knuckles, update your software.
I like it. So do you think then, guys, that's a really good point here, and you kind of nailed that on the head. Do you think maybe that's an issue then, as opposed to even recognizing the cycle? It's more that, some folks are just stuck in the fact that we don't want to change because change is hard, it's different.
Absolutely. And for myself, as much as I appreciate and love, I know that where I get my chops from in terms of the music acumen part of it, where I'm associated with learning from the Johnny Mathis, collection, from Quincy Jones, from Michael Jackson, from Wilson Pickett, from Nat King Cole. I study that, but I love, I rock with Lil Wayne too. And then I throw on some Yanni, and then I'm throwing on Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
So I like an eclectic taste. Anything that makes you move and makes the soul move, to me, is something that is effective music. Just like anything in politics, if you want to pass a bill, you want to do something, it's got to be effective to a massive amount of people.
Well, let me just cut to the quick here too, because we've got a couple of phone calls here on our Subway Fresh Take hotline, 257-5396, the number here in studio. Let me ask you guys, because to me, and hopefully this doesn't come off too offensive, there's not a whole lot of difference in the politics between Barack Obama and George Bush. But there is one thing that's extremely different about this, and that's the way that people view them, okay? From a military standpoint, Barack Obama's done basically what George Bush did, doubled it up, put more people in places than we had before.
But also he's removed people
he has,
as promised.
But what I think we're seeing is unfounded amounts of of anger at Barack Obama. And I think we know why that is. Now, can we just call it what it is?
Tell me why it is. Because
I
it's funny.
think
I was listening on the way to the studio, and there's a gentleman who's pretty politically astute, but it's like a Barack bash.
Yes.
And not understanding there's a certain amount of respect that you have to keep.
Absolutely. With the leader of the free world.
Our free world, because then everyone else, imagine internally, we're just, because guess what? You don't have to like somebody and you don't have to agree with them, but there's a certain amount of respect to carry, because imagine if they see us internally treating ours, then we're going to look like the things that we see on TV with people throwing the bottles in the street.
Yes.
And everything. Think about it.
Yes. Right. All right. Well, I'm going to cut to the quick here because, again, we have a couple of callers here. Honestly, and I've been watching this since its inception in 2008. I worked for the Obama campaign back then. It's a pretty clear-cut case of the opposition to Obama doesn't like him in most part because of his color. Okay, this has been an egregious affront to a lot of people's sense
I'm so
of
glad
self.
to hear you keep it 116.
We've got to keep it real, because the more that we beat around the bush,
it's not about race.
It is absolutely about race. And gentlemen, the reason I say that again too is I'm no apologist for any politician, and in my humble opinion, Barack Obama and George Bush share a lot of similarities when it comes to policy. Okay, I mean, Gitmo has not been closed. That was a promise that was made to us in 2008. We were supposed to be out of Afghanistan. We are looking at staying there for the indeterminate future if we can't get Karzai out. So if we can just call it what it is a racial thing, okay? These people don't like seeing a black man in the White House. And because of that, it creates all this furor, all this anger.
I'm a bit surprised it's still called the White House.
Master P had an album back a number of years ago, and he said he was gonna paint it black. But I think that's what it is. Now, as long as we can all just agree and stop beating around the bush, I'm ready to have the conversation on why you don't think Barack Obama's a good president or why you think somebody else would be better. But we got to get that out there first. If you don't like him for no other reason, then that's what it is. Now, we're going to take Javier on the line with us right now. Javier has got a comment about Dick Cheney. Javier, thank you so much for calling us today on Live Las Vegas. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Hey, I enjoy the show. Regarding Dick Cheney, I wish I would have bought in stock in Halliburton when he when he left for to be vice president. And stuff.
We all, yes.
My other big question for him is, a lot of these former politicians, which he's one, are lobbying or lobbyists, okay, and of course then what they do is they become a lobbying agent for a foreign country. So I would like to know if he's lobbying on behalf of a foreign country like Saudi Arabia or Israel or some place like that. I'd be curious.
You know what, Javier, you bring up a great point, and we thank you so much, for your call here. And you hit a couple of things on the head. Politicians, when they leave the political sector, which we know doesn't pay what they're actually making, when they leave that and go back into what they're reporting, or even what they, if you tell me that the president of the United States gets a salary of $600,000, but a radio morning show host in Dallas makes $20 million, if you think the president's not making his money somewhere else, again, you're tripping, and you need to get yourself into reality. So with Javier's comment there, Dick Cheney lobbying for a foreign entity, you know what, Javier, I almost wonder if there are any foreign entities anymore. The way that the globalization of the world has come now, you can really take a handful of people from a bunch of national, origins, put them in the same room via Skype, via text, via any number of modern technological and communication devices, and it breaks down the old nationalist type of mentalities when you had to ride a horse over a mountain range in order to see another sovereign king. So I don't know if it's for another country or for a set of interests. Let's, again, be real. ExxonMobil, housed out of Saudi Arabia, one of the largest corporations in the world. But is that a country? I mean, is that a national thing? I don't think so. It's a corporate thing. So, in my opinion, that is the country.
So right, but it's so effective in terms of how it affects the economy.
Absolutely,
yes. It becomes a national thing, and believe me, there is a stake. Any smart businessman in any capacity will make sure to have some sort of equity stake or something, whether it's offshore or something, in regards to having a piece of the bigger piece of the pie. I mean, and that's just smart in business, no matter who you are. Now, what happens is there's a stronghold in terms of them being separated because of the political affiliation of, whether it's running some sort of sector in the government. What happens is they have to play it safe. and they have to break their ties. So it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. Basically, what you're saying is that you have to get really good at covering up what it is that you're doing so people don't quite know. And that's the problem with our political system right now. And guys, we got to take a look at traffic. That's completely apolitical, so I hope you're not in a wreck. When we come back, Al, Big Bub, and I, we are going to talk about some of the entertainment news, breaking down our doors here in Las Vegas. Stay tuned to Live Las Vegas.
Keep it locked.
Questions regarding a mortgage, bankruptcy, short sale, personal injury, or your credit? News Talk 720 KDWN's Legal Hour will help you find the answers free. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. Talk with benefits. The best talk radio in Las Vegas is on News Talk 720 KDWN, where locals come to talk. Get the Valley's best local news updates online anytime. KDWN Las Vegas, a Beasley Broadcast Group station.
AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue. The autopsy has been released on the death earlier this month of Philip Seymour Hoffman in New York. Here's the AP's Warren Levinson.
Philip Seymour Hoffman had a deadly cocktail of drugs in his system, according to the New York City Medical Examiner. The coroner calls the death an accident and says it was caused by acute mixed drug intoxication. Among the drugs found in the 46-year-old Oscar-winning actor's body, heroin, cocaine, benzodiazepines, and amphetamine. Benzodiazepines are used to treat anxiety. Opioid users sometimes take them to intensify the high. Hoffman was found dead in his Greenwich Village apartment February 2nd. Scores of heroin packets were found on the premises. Warren Levinson, New York.
And investigators have been looking into how Hoffman may have gotten that heroin. The Oscar winner for Capote starred in numerous other movies as well as New York stage productions and had been frank in the past about struggling with substance abuse. AP Update, I'm Ed Donahue.
The news brought to you by American Laser Skincare. This week at American Laser Skincare, buy one laser hair removal package, get a second free. Trust America's Laser Skincare Authority with over 11 million treatments performed. Some restrictions apply. Call 877-559-3344 for a free consultation or visit AmericanLaser.com.
It's 1:32 on the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center. One working accident right now on the freeways. Interstate 15 southbound, that's westbound Tropicana. Also crashes Flamingo at Paradise. That one's new. Alta at Durango west side. Frank Sinatra at Industrial. And Rainbow at Russell, that with injuries. And a reminder, a 3-month-long construction project involving sidewalk work, median improvements, and traffic signal installation. That's affecting Decatur between the 95 and Lake Mead Boulevard. Work is scheduled during the week from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m., but don't be surprised if you see overnight restrictions as well. For the KDWN Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Hey, Las Vegas, it's Al B. Shore and the voice of the Las Vegas Wranglers, Dave Carney. Join us for the best that Las Vegas has to offer. Entertainment, sports, dining, and nightlife. Live in Las Vegas. Tune in every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Waste money on rent when you can own again. With our New Start Mortgage, we can help you own your dream home again, even if other mortgage companies have turned you down. Call 827-3880 to speak with a mortgage specialist or visit onenevada.org for current rates and details. One Nevada is open to all Clark County and Pahrump residents. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
I'm Brian Whitman. How confident are you that you've addressed all of your financial and estate planning needs? I can help. Listen every Tuesday morning at 9 for the Financial Hour with Brian Whitman on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This could cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us if you want Viagra at the lowest price. prices. Never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-390-9323 today to save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 800-390-9323. Call 800-390-9323. That's 800-390-9323. Again, 800-390-9323.
Now back to Live Las Vegas with Dave Carney and Al B. Shore on News Talk 720 KDWN.
And welcome back into Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN. Dave Carney joined by Albie Sure, Big Bub in studio.
Hey.
Michael Mack is
Yes, sir.
going to be joining us here for Pawn Talk Live coming up at the bottom of the hour, starting at 2 o'clock. And a big show here for you today, guys. We started off blazing political. Boomer's Brain Trust, which is on before us, and it's on every day here on KDWN, was talking about the defense cuts Dick Cheney's railing against. And again, if you have any questions, comments about that, give us a call, 257-5396. Love to break you down my opinion. But coming back here to the show, guys, we're in the entertainment portion of Live Las Vegas, and this is a huge weekend for entertainment. Now, the 86th annual Oscars, the Academy Awards, are going down live from Los Angeles this weekend, and there's a number of really terrific movies this year, guys, on the docket.
But I think we should start it out by saying one of my favorite people on the planet. She's hosting the Oscars.
Oh, you love her. Ellen, huh?
Gotta
That's
love
your girl?
Ellen. Gotta love
Okay.
Ellen. Let me tell you
Gotta love
something.
Ellen.
When we took over, the regime after, God rest his soul, Mr. Gerald Busby, when we went to Motown, and we threw our big launch party at Motown, and, it was, really focused and centered around Stevie Wonder. And I remember it was in Los Angeles I think it was on Sunset Boulevard, and I remember half the evening, that was my dance partner. So I danced with
Really?
her. She can cut a rug.
I bet
I'm
she
not
can.
playing. She can do the old school dances. She does something new, and she's just such a cutie pie. Such a good person. I'm very happy for her success and seeing how she's really, globally taken over in terms of her ratings, and I don't want to go through the logistics of it, but she's just really has that thing. And
Yes,
she's really taken over, and I'm very happy to see she's somebody who actually deserves it.
Well, as far as what daytime television used to be, guys, here, it was garbage. And you bring Ellen into the mix here, and at least she puts an element of class and dignity into a really fun program. And all the biggest stars want to come on her show.
Well, let me ask you this, Dave. Do you think that she's going to ban the broadcast in Arizona?
You know what? I doubt it. And that's that's a great point. How would that work out there? I don't know. And if you're
or maybe they might ban the broadcast.
They might have if Governor
Jan
Brewer hadn't vetoed this. Now, a quick aside here, because we didn't talk about it, we were planning to, but Arizona smartly vetoed. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer smartly vetoed a bill which was dubbed religious freedom. Now, the proponents of this bill said it would let business owners make their own decision. If you haven't heard about it, you've been living under a rock. It basically said that if I, John Q. business owner, have a proposed religious standard, and I feel that you are a gay or a lesbian person, I can deny services to you. Well, the Civil Rights Act of 1965 specifically preclude. Well, this is 2014, but you're talking about Arizona, where a couple of years back, at a rally for one of their congresswomen, somebody brought a gun and shot her in the face. Arizona is also the state where a police officer, if they don't feel you're from the United States, can ask you for your citizenship papers. Now, let me ask any of our friends here. That might look possibly non-American. Do you carry your birth certificate? Absolutely not. So this is Arizona, and anything that goes on there, I'm not surprised about. But back to the Academy, I mean, absolutely. Ellen is fantastic. I think she's going to be a good host for the show. Seth MacFarlane was a little different. I wasn't a huge fan, but I think Ellen's going to be great. And guys, when we look at this year's Academy Awards, this is one of the first years in a while we've had multiple pictures really be considered as top contenders. And I'm going to go down the list here of movies that are being nominated for Best Picture. They start off with Captain Phillips. We've also got the Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, 12 Years a Slave, and The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, most pundits from Hollywood tend to think this is going to go to 12 Years a Slave. Have either of you guys seen that movie yet?
Which one?
12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
How was it? Really? Okay, so you weren't especially moved, touched by it, or in any way bowled over.
It was Bob. You didn't like it? I thought it was brilliant.
No, it was brilliant, but it was expected. You know, I mean,
something you expect. Okay,
you know,
understood.
Yeah.
As opposed to Django, which took you all off the track here and really set the conversation in a whole other way. By the way, that is my favorite Civil War era movie of all time. If you haven't seen Django yet, go out and download that one.
Now, let me
rent
ask
that
you
one.
this: Do you really feel, and this is a question for Bob, in terms of understanding and being from our culture, is it something that is it a subject title that you're maybe tired of seeing via the media, or is it depicted properly for you, or is it, answer D, all the above?
Me, answer all the above.
Or do you just want to move forward, or is it important to keep it in the spirit of the generation, because in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you came from.
Yeah, absolutely. But just like in music, a lot of these kids don't even realize that these samples are from 70s.
That was Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah.
That's not Kanye West?
That's Switch, and that's not Kanye West's record. And when you tell them, they're like, nah. So it's like, you just got to do your homework. They took a lot of stuff out of the schools anyway, you know?
Correct.
Especially, so,
Well, the interesting thing here in the schools here, Michael will probably be able to tell me best, there's a curriculum that includes Al Capone.
Do they? I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's just called, Nevada's Greater Father's History.
Right.
Or?
I know my nieces that were attending one of the schools, they brought a book back in, and that said, I think it was Al Capone, and there was a study on Al Capone. Now, I didn't see a study about Marcus Garvey or Martin Luther King, or I didn't see much of that, but that was one of the first assignments. So I was like, yo, that's gangster.
Well, I guess it is knowing about it. I guess it is knowing about where you're at, and that can always change the conversation. All of those films, though, very, very good. 12 Years a Slave and The Wolf of Wall Street, I think, are probably the strongest candidates to come out. And little birdie told me 12 Years a Slave has already locked this up. So we're going to take a look.
Did they do well? They did well with the Golden Globes.
They did great.
Correct?
They won everything. They won the Golden Globe, the Director's Choice, and People's Choice.
There's a firm now that actually does the not necessarily the accounting, but it's an analysis of who they think will win.
Yes.
And they've been somewhat accurate over the years.
They've been completely accurate. I guess within a slight margin of error percentage, couple of points here and there. Right. But most of the insiders in the Academy tend to know, I think, a few days before the awards actually come out, who's going to win. Not necessarily the actors, actresses, but there are insiders that always have.
Isn't that sealed by Deloitte and Touche?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah,
Deloitte and Touche. Or whatever
you believe that, and you can also believe that the government's here to help. So that's the Academy. And now, guys, we've had a gal waiting online with us here for quite some time. Samantha is on the line with us. Samantha has got a question for Al Be Sure, and it looks like it has something to do with the song with David Bowie. Samantha, thanks for joining us here on Live Las Vegas. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm fantastic, but you've got Al, so now you've got to be even more fantastic.
Hey, Samantha, how are you?
Hey, how are you? So I want to say hello to Mr. Bub.
Oh, Big Bub.
Hello, how are you? How's everything?
Big Bub, I'm sorry. I was getting another call at the same time.
That's all right.
I just wanted to say hello to Big Bub.
Okay.
And I don't have a question. I want to make a comment about the song with you and David Bowie.
Okay.
Black Tie, White Noise. I love that song, and I just love, what I love about the song is how you guys are basically speaking of,
speaking of all those things like, good old, love and the
tolerance.
Harsh times, and yes.
Absolute tolerance.
And anybody come up anyone, and I love it.
Absolutely. And,
right.
I guess the greatest part about it is when I just saw the clip, actually. It's on my Facebook, facebook.com/official Al Be Sure. There are about 430 copies, which you're trying to get rid of most of them, but the real one is facebook.com/official Al Be Sure, along with Twitter, official Al Be Sure, Instagram, official Al Be Sure. And, to go back to the clip, David talks about, writing from the narrative to form and saying, basically it was right after the riots in Los Angeles, and we filmed a majority of the video in an abandoned building in Los Angeles, and we just talked about, the tolerance, because David is one of those guys that really truly is, walks the walk instead of talks the talk. And what we did with Arsenio Hall, and in conjunction with Arsenio Hall, Arsenio, with his big heart, purchased a crack house in the Los Angeles area and converted it into a computer center, and we donated our royalties, the proceeds from the royalties, to fund that particular venture. And so when we can do things like that, that's kind of what makes the music in the world go round, because it's great, we can be on tour and make, some nice dough and what have you, but when we get to do some real human interest things, it makes you feel good.
That makes everything else worth it. It lets you know that you're on the right path and doing the right things. And speaking of the right paths, I hope you're finding the right paths out there on the Las Vegas highways. We're going to take a look at traffic. When we come back, Al, Big Bub, and I are going to wrap up here with some more entertainment news and notes. Stay tuned to Live Las Vegas.
And at 1:45, we do have one incident on area freeways. Interstate 15 southbound, that's at West Tropicana. Also, several street incidents. Alta at Durango, Frank Sinatra at Industrial. Bad accident with injuries. That's Rainbow at Russell. And a construction note, Rainbow from Ann to Tropical Parkway is going to have lane restrictions through the rest of the year for a storm drain project. As you see, we probably need it soon. Tenaya or Jones are the best alternates for that area. From the Kid on Nevada Credit Union Traffic Center, I'm Jim Dallas on News Talk 720 KDWN.
Alan Stock here. I had my hearing tested at my hearing centers, and I'm glad I did. They're professional and friendly. They'll answer all of your questions in a way that will make it easy for you to understand, just like they did with me. If you're anything like me, you put off having your hearing tested because you're afraid you'll wind up with a huge hearing aid that everyone can see. Let me tell you, I was shocked to see just how far the technology actually has come. They have hearing aids that are so small, no one, not even your children, will know you're wearing them. Now, trust me, you don't want to miss out on any important conversations. Call my hearing centers and let them help you change your life the way they've done for so many others already. And right now, they're offering a 30-day risk-free trial. If you're not completely satisfied with your purchase, they'll refund 100% of your money. I promise that better hearing will change your life. Tell them that I told you to call. They'll take care of you with $500 off one of their premium sets. They also offer a pay-as-you-go option starting at just $70 a month, so there's no reason to wait. First 10 callers who schedule a free hearing test will receive a Red Lobster or Olive Garden card when you come in. Call them now, 666-9597 to schedule your appointment. 666-9597 or go to myhearingcenters.com.
Hi, this is Doug Basham. You know, the guy you just can't get enough of. Or is that the guy you just love to hate? In either case, join me every Saturday afternoon at 3 for something a bit different. That's Saturday afternoons at 3 p.m. See you then.
All 11 Ted Weens around town carry Michelin tires because many people think they're the best tires made, and because a lot of driving enthusiasts demand Michelin tires, and because many manufacturers recommend them. So Ted Weens makes sure you have the choice of world-renowned Michelin tires, and a choice of Goodyear tires, and Bridgestone and Firestone tires. So when you see us, you'll always have the best, smartest choice of premium tire brands anywhere in town at Ted Weens, because we really do care. A lot. Manufacturers like Ford and Chevy and Mercedes-Benz, they all have specific tires in mind when they build a car or truck. Tire brands and makes that work specifically well with their cars. So Ted Weens carries more brands of manufacturer-recommended tires than anyone in Vegas, and more choices of premium tire brands like Goodyear, Michelin, Firestone, and Bridgestone. So you can make your own smart choice and get exactly the tires your car or truck needs at Ted Weens, who really does care.
Hi, this is Michael Mack, owner of a world-famous Mack's Pawn in Las Vegas. You ever wondered what those valuables are worth? Had a pawn question but didn't know who to ask? I have the solution for you. Join me and Dave Carney every Friday from 2 to 3 for Pawn Talk Live here on News Radio 720 KDWN.
Now back to Live Las Vegas with Dave Carney and Al B. Shore on News Talk 720 KDWN.
And welcome back to Live Las Vegas here on News Talk 720 KDWN. Dave Carney, multi-platinum R&B recording superstar Al B. Shore, the man that penned the theme track of my early teen years. Big Bub here, my prerogative. That was a great song, man. Bobby Brown, let me tell you what. Bobby Brown is a stone-cold superstar, and anybody that gave him grief for being a party... Listen, I'm sorry. If your friends can't handle your stuff, that's their problem. You know what I mean? Bobby Brown is a rock and roll star, and he's go ahead and living the life.
Man, 40 grand.
That's our brother, man.
Beresford.
Oh, Beresford, baby.
That's it, boy. Bobby Brown, he was just so awesome. I loved his attitude. You know what I mean? How tall is Bobby? You like 5'8" of just like energy?
No, but I think Bobby's my size.
Is he?
See,
He's a big guy?
Bob is like 6'12".
Yeah, right.
And 3/4. I'm 6'1", so.
He always had the style. So, again, having celebrities like yourselves in studio, always interesting to get your take. And again, if you want to call us here, we've got a few minutes left to get with Al and Big Bub, 257-5396, 257 KDWN, and be sure to follow us, or like us, I should say, on Facebook.
Be sure.
Live. Exactly, Al. Be sure to like us live in Las Vegas. And Al, your Twitter is official Al Be Sure.
At official, ALBSURE, and the same with Instagram, official Al Be Sure. So
now, what about you, Big Bub? What's your Twitter handles? Got one yet?
Big Bub Today.
Oh, my God, that's
Instagram,
awesome.
Big Bub Today.
I came so late to everything, it would have been like Dave Carney 7,300. So I got at Dapper Dave C. And if you want to know why, it's because I'm a Dapper Dan man.
Absolutely.
No fop here. Yeah, exactly. You can't have any fop in here.
Dave, that voice.
Yes.
Carney.
Now, if we could have only met 2 days earlier before I'd gotten that Twitter handle, I would have totally changed it. But now, it's already stuck. However, again, go to Facebook Live in Las Vegas. Now, gents, we're coming back here into the show. We were talking about the Academy Awards, the 86th Oscars coming on this Sunday night. You guys are going to be back down in Los Angeles for the big awards show. Let's talk a little bit about the Best Actor in a Leading Role category, because this is one that generally gets the most publicity. This year, we've got a number of really fantastic actors. Christian Bale is up for American Hustle. Bruce Dern, amazingly, 97-year-old Bruce Dern is up for Nebraska. Leonardo DiCaprio is up for Wolf of Wall Street. I'm really going to mispronounce the name of the actor from 12 Years a Slave, so I'm not going to say it, but the leading man, you know who you are. And then, of course, Matthew McConaughey for the Dallas Buyers Club. Now, if we can count the heartbeats of shocked folks that Matthew McConaughey would ever be in the Academy Award, conversation, I think it would be in the multi-millions, because he was thought of as just a beefcake type of guy before. He has really started to develop and show some acting chops here lately.
His craft.
My goodness.
You know what? And that's a testament to when you really decide to hone in on your core skill, which is, the acting, and really just put it down to the point where someone I really love, I don't want to go off topic, but like Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay, great.
He can play
go off topic with him,
He can play in The Matrix.
That's right.
But he can also do Broadway and Shakespeare. But his chops are true and real, 1,000%.
Didn't he play Othello as well in the movie? Great flick there. Lawrence Fishburne. You know what? You know what's great about him is that even to this day, he's one of those actors, too, that doesn't take himself too seriously on the Matrix-type role. There was a commercial that came out during the Super Bowl that revived that. And I believe it was a Kia commercial.
He and I am your father, Luke.
Oh, yes.
James
Earl Jones.
Right.
Yes, doing that. But I love to see actors that don't take themselves too seriously, that can still, revive one of these iconic roles.
Saturday Night Live.
Absolutely. Great.
Absolutely.
You know what? You should go host Saturday Night Live. Let's make that happen. It'd be the only reason I'd watch Saturday Night Live anymore. They got so unfunny lately. Now, moving down here to Best Actress in a Leading Role here, fellas. This is, again, a strong list of candidates. Amy Adams for American Hustle, Kate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine. Haven't seen that movie, but I've seen some of her clips and performances. Unbelievable. Sandra Bullock for Gravity. Now, this is a movie I'm going to have to go out and see. It's on Xbox Video now. Have you guys seen Gravity yet? Was it fantastic?
It was really good.
Okay.
To me.
You know what? I think the reason this wins, obviously we've seen that scenario on several occasions, but there's a chemistry with Sandra and George Clooney.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah, so there's this underlying sexy tone that just works really well, where you're really in space with them.
Yeah, no, that's
living vicariously through them.
I was going to say I'd love to live vicariously through George Clooney. Just give me 1 week to walk in his shoes, and I will make the most of it. George, you can have yourself back after that. Wrapping up this list here of
and one of the most humble guys in the world.
You know what? That's
let's
true
say that.
too. And what a political observer he is as well. If you've ever heard some of George Clooney's ruminations on all things politics, he has got a deep mind, not just an actor. A couple of other great actresses here on the list. Meryl Streep is up for August, Osage County. Now, I have not seen this movie, but I would just say Meryl Streep should probably win Best Actress anytime, because she can out-act anybody. It's like watching Kevin Durant play one-on-one with somebody. He's going to out-basketball them, okay? It doesn't matter what he's doing.
We witnessed that.
Oh, boy, you guys sure did.
Oklahoma, we was like,
And listen, woo.
And
He
it's
gave
too
us a
bad.
show.
I was going to say that was a really tough game you guys were at, though, too.
And wait a minute, but then did you see him against, our boy LeBron James?
Yes, I did. I've seen him twice. I saw him once in Oklahoma, and they took the Heat to task, and I saw the Heat repay the favor. So, hey, just get ready for the NBA Finals in June. That's all I can say.
Loving it.
Also, Judi Dench, guys, is back in the conversation here for a Best Leading Actress. Philomena is the movie. So, big, obviously, star-studded night. All the Academy Awards are. Now, you guys are going to be down there. You're going to be actually at the Academies, or doing a private party after? What are you guys doing down there?
There's a major event that a very big philanthropist does in Beverly Hills, and that has it's the United. I don't want to get it incorrect. So it's United Children's. Basically, Daphne Ziman, who's the big philanthropist there. She truly, looks after the kids. And she does an event every year, and I've attended before, and I've actually performed at her event. And you turn one way, it's you got. Halle Berry or just every singer and every Robin Thicke is in one corner, and it's just a star-studded event, and it's at her beautiful mansion there in Beverly Hills, and it's an amazing attendance. In addition to, it's a beautiful setting and all the greatest food in the world. That I can do without.
Yes. Man, I tell you what, the smallest violins in the world they're playing just for you, Alex. I mean, it sounds like. That's pretty good. He's a sample. Now, Big Bub, you going down with Al? You're going to be doing something different.
It depends on how I feel.
Depends on if he catches the plane somewhere, because he's always on a plane somewhere. Or some artist is calling you. It may be Raekwon from the Wu-Tang Clan. Man. He's the chef Raekwon.
That's my man.
He'll give him a call. Yo, we're about to do this project here. Come get this paper. Let's go.
And you're like, you know what? Okay, Raekwon. Yeah, real quick. This is totally off subject, but isn't it amazing? I mean, Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, the RZA actually is one of the most. Underrated though names in the business when it comes to scoring films. I mean, this guy has scored. I mean, and I'm not just talking about urban films. I mean, this is stuff you would never even realize that a guy like RZA did. Now, when you look at the years that have come since Wu-Tang Clan really bursted out big, about 92, 93, when they really hit it. Are you ever surprised by the level of craftsmanship that has developed from these guys, or did you see this right away from the get?
From the door. I mean, Wu-Tang is like the Earth, Wind, and Fire of hip-hop.
Great point.
And
I don't know if anybody listening to this would ever have
heard
Wu-Tang, but if you know Earth, Wind, and Fire, you're getting a good idea.
It's
every one of them had individual success.
Yes. But it's also like speaking of the Roots, where prior to the Jimmy Kimmel gig, they had a significant underground following. I mean, I've always been a very big fan of Quest and those cats. I mean, they're from Philadelphia.
Yes,
Philadelphia. But they were so talented, and always appreciate the shout out on the record. So, but they, these guys were self-contained, true musicians with this hip hop flair and style like none other. And this is why that they've elevated to now, being, they stuck it out and they decided to keep real music alive. Again, this is what we talked about. I guess you can go from the drum machines and everything else like that, but that live music element. This is why when you go see Jay-Z or you go see any hip hop artist that has become iconic, there's a live music element always involved.
Well, and here's a great shout out, or at least a place for us to pimp out his upcoming performance, and that is Questlove and the Roots. They're actually going to be playing 2 days in a row. They're going to be opening the Brooklyn Bowl, which is out here at the Link, Las Vegas.
Right there.
And you know what? Listen, I'm coming with you because they're going to be opening it by themselves. The Roots are going to be doing the first night concert. Now, the next night, they're only going to be joined by one Mr. Elvis Costello. So we're going to get Elvis Costello and the Roots the next night. Totally eclectic.
And what if Elvis Presley shows up?
Oh, you know what? It would.
This is Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas, that absolutely wouldn't surprise me. Well, gentlemen, Big Bob, it is an honor having you on the radio here today. Love to have you back at some point. I'll be sure. It's awesome to have you back in studio.
Love being here.
We'll make this happen as much as possible. I know you're a busy guy. Michael Mack and I are going to be coming up here for Pawn Talk Live, so stay tuned right here to News Talk 720 KDWN.
Keep it locked.
Luxury shops in Las Vegas aren't new. What is new, however, is luxury meeting value. At the world-famous Max Pawn, we specialize in marrying the two. With some of the finest selections of watches, designer handbags, sunglasses, and more, the luxury never stops. Every day, new items are added in-store and online. From Gucci and Chanel to Hermes and Louis Vuitton, Max Pawn delivers all the top luxury brands at a fraction of the price. Visit us online at maxpawnlv.com or browse our showroom in Las Vegas. The world-famous Max Pawn, where luxury meets value.
Of Autism Treatment are holding their 2014 A Games on Sunday, June 1st at Sports Social at 7055 Windy Street in Las Vegas. One day, 7 events. There's bike, skateboard, and scooter races. Also a bike trick, skateboard trick, and scooter trick competition. 1 in 88 children are diagnosed with autism. Help make a difference. For more information on the 2014 A Games, contact Feet of Southern Nevada at FEAT